everyone. How are you? How are you? Happy draft week to everyone who still believes in such things. We are the 2 point conversion, 5.5. That means this is our fifth and a half, our fifth and a half episode for this season, this off season. There's not an off season. I don't know why I said that. This off season, and Jay and I are more than happy to be joined by a man who needs no introduction. Although I would like to know the posters that are behind you because I'm oddly intrigued by them and I'm distracted by them, and it will be this way the whole time unless you tell me what's back there.
Okay, so this over here to my left, it's a reprint, but it's the Godzilla King of the Monsters, I think 1955,
Hey, hey.
56, which actually starred Raymond Burr, who
Oh
people
my
probably
God,
people
Perry
probably
Mason.
best know him as Perry Mason, right? But it also actually happens to be from my hometown of Vallejo, California.
Really?
Grew up there for years. Yeah, he's a Northern California guy,
I love
and was in this Godzilla movie, which is actually excellent. It's one of of all the. I mean, there's like a ton of Godzilla movies, but it's one of my favorites, maybe my favorite. Um, so that's that. And then I've got a series of these actually came from a calendar, a wall calendar, and they are old covers of USC football programs.
yeah.
So somebody took the old programs, took the old covers, and used them to make a calendar. And so after the calendar was done, I think this is like from a 2015 calendar or something like that. I guess I could have kept the calendar, and then like in 10 years it probably would have been good again because all the days would have lined up, but that would have been weird. So instead I took them and I framed some of the covers. Stuff.
I don't care what you see. I'm not gonna lie, but the Godzilla with Raymond Burr, that's awesome. That's
I
that.
actually have somewhere, I think I have an old Bride of Frankenstein poster similar to this, and I think I have the Mummy, like the old Boris Karloff version
Yes.
of the Mummy, that I bought. Like there were two guys. They used to live up the street, and they used to have like weekly yard sales. I think they just wanted. I think they were just lonely. Like they were kind of an older couple, and they were just lonely. And I think they just wanted people to come by and visit them. And so like they would have like a yard sale literally every Saturday. And I went up and I chatted with them, and yeah, I got to. I snagged some old posters from them. So there
that's
you go.
that's awesome. I love Raymond Burr. I actually have seasons 3 through 4 of Perry Mason that's on my DVR that I'm binging because I have no life. But anyway, moving along. Except this week because I'm so far behind in draft and on draft stuff. Um, Jay, how are you? Nice to see your face again.
I'm good. How are you?
Much better, thank you. We missed Jay last time because he's like the big man at work and couldn't be bothered with us. So
Got a new promotion. Got a new promotion. So I've been in training a lot. But
congratulations on your. Now I can say it. Now I can say
yeah, we
it.
can say it now. We can say it
I,
now.
congratulations on your promotion.
Thank
I
you.
couldn't. I'm. I couldn't say. All right. So let me ask you this, Marcus. Uh, favorite movie, old time movie, like
My all time favorite movie.
all time favorite movie.
Um, I can go one of two ways. I think probably it's The Big Lebowski. But a close second would be Kill Bill Volume One, which
Ooh.
are two very different movies.
Yeah,
Like
and
they're
like
incredibly different movies. But
delicious.
those are two of my favorites.
Okay, I can live with that. I've never seen either one actually, but not a big Quentin Tarantino fan. And yeah,
I think I like his earlier movies more than his later movies. Like I saw Django. Like I sat through it one time in the theater, and I'm like, I don't need to see Django again. I did like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I'm like I love both Kill Bill movies. I will honestly say that I'll never forget the first time I saw Pulp Fiction because it sort of just changed the way I feel about movies. I was like, I'd never seen a movie like Pulp Fiction before. It completely blew my mind, and yeah, it just changed it. I mean, I'm sure people out there are like, I don't really care about your Quentin Tarantino fetish, but here it is. I have a microphone, and that's what I'm talking about right now.
um, I What? Who are the top four? Hold on. I actually lied because I have seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I wished that's how it ended. I wish that's how that
I
whole
mean,
historic thing ended.
he basically
So
made a movie on the premise of what happens if the Manson murderers went to the wrong house. Like that was pretty much the
exactly,
whole movie. There was like a whole lot of other stuff that happened before that, but basically the premise of the movie is what if the Manson murderers went to the wrong house?
and
Um,
I could get behind that. I could get behind what happened to them. I was like, yeah, yes. I don't like violence, but yes. So I did see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so I did lie. Um, all right, so we have an MLB question here from Richard Huffman. Hi, Richard Huffman. How are you? Um, who are the top four MLB teams to consider betting a future on? The odds are high right now. Same with NFL. Does anyone understand that?
so
I
what
understand it, yeah, but
top four MLB teams to bet
yeah.
futures on?
I'm thinking that's what he said.
So the odds-on favorite to win the World Series.
Basically, essentially. I mean, I'm biased. I'm a Dodger fan, so I would say they're probably in the mix.
But aren't they favored to win? Aren't they up there? I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
that much about
I share
baseball.
that bias, Marcus.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure you're not going to get great odds on it just because they are expected to be successful, right? Like
Right.
they are expected to compete. So I'm sure the odds on them aren't going to be great. But the chance of that hitting is probably pretty good. I would say, I mean, the Astros may be back in the mix again. I will say this: through a month, the New York Metropolitans look like a pretty good baseball
The
team.
Mets, yeah.
Once they get Jacob deGrom back, that pitching staff, that rotation is going to be pretty solid, and they're hitting right now. I wanted to believe that the Giants were a fluke from last year, but it appears that they're still good at baseball. I don't appreciate that at all. Don't like that at all.
Okay, so and the four NFL teams, I'm gonna say, like, I put money. Not that I'm a big bettor, but at the end of the year, if I have money in DraftKings, I will put it on who will go to the Super Bowl. Of course, I'm gonna pick the Steelers because I'm always gonna pick the Steelers. I don't care who the quarterback
Because
is.
they're going to work their way out of that Mitchell Trubisky
I mean,
situation, and they're
Yeah, they are.
if you're gonna do that, you should just Venmo me money. It's about the same.
probably get a higher return on
you
investment.
should just Venmo
Whatever.
me, and
Whatever.
it works about the same way.
And then I actually put money on Detroit Lions.
Whoa, hot take.
Dude, they play hard. They play hard last year. They have good draft picks. They're up high. Anyway, why am I trying to justify myself? You already lambasted me for the Steelers. The Detroit Lions. And then Tampa Bay, but you're not going to get really good odds anymore. You would have got good odds before he decided to announce his comeback. And then I refuse to put money on the Packers, but the Packers would probably be one. Detroit is my outlier. Detroit is oh my God, if they make it, I'm going to be so rich.
Weirdly, I feel like the Lions thing makes more sense to me than the Steelers thing, just because it's one of those, because it is such a long shot. It's just kind of one of those like, hey, whatever. If it hits, then you look like a genius, right? Like everybody's going to be tweeting about you on Super Bowl Sunday, sort of thing. Like the Steelers are kind of one of those like middle of the road teams where they're probably not going to go anywhere, and it's like it's not necessarily fun to do that because it's just like it's just sort of miserable. That also forces you to have to watch Mitchell Trubisky every week, and I don't know why you'd want to do that to yourself.
Because I don't think it's going to be Mitchell Trubisky. I think it's going to be Malik, but that's just something entirely different. It's going to be that whole Seattle thing, the whole what they had that free agent, and then Russell Wilson comes in, and they're like, Russell Wilson's our guy. They're going to do the same thing with Malik Willis. They're going to go somehow get him. I don't know how, but then they're going to go, oh, Mitch, sorry, dude, you can go back to Buffalo and be their third guy or whatever.
Well, according to Yahoo Futures odds, if I were to make a bet based off of the odds they have, the Bengals are plus 2,000.
Really?
So, yeah.
I guess
Yeah, so
is that the whole Super Bowl losing team hangover thing? Is that what that's
it
about?
must be, but that just seems like a pretty good odds-on bet there when you combine the talent level and the ability to actually
Yeah,
get there with the
whatever.
odds. So the
That means they
Bengals would
have
be
to
one
walk
of the
from
top
Pittsburgh.
bets. So if I were to do that, as much as it pains me as a Rams fan, I would say the Bengals. I would say the 49ers would probably be up in there. I'm going to give the Chiefs some love. I think that they're being disrespected a little bit there with the loss of Tyreek Hill. And then wild card shot. Let's say that the Bills finally get over the hump.
Do you have the Yahoo thing still up? What are Denver odds? Because he's asking about Denver.
Denver is plus 1,600.
Oh, see, I think Denver would be a good pick too with Russell Wilson there. I would never, ever, ever, Richard, Carolina. No, I'm just gonna say no. Just say
The
no.
I mean, I feel like the AFC is going to be harder this year to figure out. The
Yeah.
NFC for me, like if it's not the Rams and Bucks in the NFC Championship game, then something went sideways. Like I feel like
Mm,
that's the one that makes sense. The AFC, there are any number of combinations that I think could happen in the AFC.
the Rams and the Bucks. Okay, I could. I think no one thinks the Rams are gonna have a Super Bowl hangover. No
Oh,
one, none at all.
no.
No,
Okay, no one that's not a Rams fan will think.
Are you a
I'm not.
Rams
Well,
fan,
I'm not a
Marcus?
I'm not a Rams fan. But yeah, I don't see it. Not with this group.
I
I
mean, they
mean,
reloaded, right? I mean, they
right.
just they were already there. We figured
Yeah,
it out. Their problem is their own division, the 49ers. That's always going to be a thorn in the Rams' side there.
no matter
I'm
who's
not
quarterback.
too. Yeah, that it's just
Niners.
the way that we talked about this just last year. And the way that they just play football, it's just physical. So they have the ability to kind of push the Rams around a little bit on both sides of the ball with that running game there. So they're a problem. But I think that the Rams' talent is just now that they've gotten the monkey off of their back. I think that the Rams are going to be right back there.
No Chargers.
I like the Chargers, but I just
Maybe.
don't think
You
they're
know what?
ready.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers figure out how to win the AFC West. I don't know how far they go because the Chargers can't get out of their own way, but um, that's a good
It would
team.
help. It would help to not go for it on fourth down and you're at your own 10-yard line.
I mean, details, but sure. you know, but no, I mean, I think they're a really good team. I think the Chiefs. I feel like the gap was sort of closing between the Chiefs and other teams in that division, and losing Tyreek it's not an impossible situation, but he does change. It does change the way that offense plays. I think the Broncos I think will be very good because I feel like they were a quarterback away from making something happen, and now at least on paper they have that quarterback. Like I think Derek Carr's a good quarterback, but I think
Yeah,
he ends up being the worst quarterback in his own division. Like,
division. Yeah,
which is weird.
yeah, yeah. I would agree with that. I think that he's a good NFL level quarterback, but by default now he's the worst quarterback in the division. But but how much does Devontae Adams add to the mix? And if they can avoid this horrible trade sound losing Derek Waller,
What is the
Yeah.
trade? What is the trade?
There's no it just so this is via Aaron Nagler, basically saying the Packers and Raiders have engaged in trade talks regarding Darren Waller. That's kind of all that's out there. So who knows how serious this is? It really could be a situation where it's like, the two sides were on the phone and somebody's like, hey, so what would it take to get Waller? Like it could just be something as simple as that. Like, hey, what do we got to do to get Darren Waller? And that might have been the whole conversation.
well,
So
it's smoke and mirror times, right, Marcus? Right, we're getting
oh
close to the
yeah,
draft, so everybody's supposedly available for the right price. How many draft picks can we extract from you?
right.
And then that kind of dies down the closer you get to draft night.
I mean, it's sort of like I feel it's like I had a friend who years ago worked. He was a pharmaceutical salesman, which is cool because like he could expense lots of things. But basically, what it meant was that we would go out to dinner, or go out to have drinks, and we would have a conversation about little blue pills. He's like, "Hey, I got some Viagra in the trunk. Anybody want any? No, whatever. It's a business meeting now." And then it's like, I feel like that was maybe that's potentially how this trade talk went with the Packers and the Raiders. Like, somebody just mentioned Darren Waller and the word trade in the same sentence. I'm like, yeah, we talked about it. That was it.
There's no way I can't even fathom that if they want to be competitive in that, the West is just going to be crazy and wild. No, I can't. I refuse to look at that. And I forgot to mention that if you're on Twitter and you're sending in chats and stuff, we can't get them. We can't see them unless you send it to mine or Jay's or Marcas's DMs. We don't know what you're saying. So go to YouTube or any other medium of watching. Sorry. But you can still watch on Twitter. You just can't interact unless you interact.
Talk to your boy Elon. Tell him to get online to fix that.
Boy Eli. And has there ever been a Super Bowl on Madden Sims?
I would think so, right? Don't they? I thought, doesn't Madden sim the Super Bowl every year?
Yeah.
I feel like they sim it every year, and then they like to put out the results.
Yeah.
So real quick, TV. Hi, thank you for welcome back. Now you can go to bed. It's my sister, and she's a teacher in Florida, and it's 10 o'clock her time, and she usually goes to bed at 8. So she wanted to stay up because she hasn't seen me. So she can go to bed now because I know this is killing her because she knows nothing about sports. So she's like, I don't know what they're talking about. So go to bed. Thank you for staying up. All right. So we were going to. The idea was to go through the draft in a fantasy kind of way. So I guess predicting according to draft status what would be the best fantasy landing spot for the rookie. Is that am I close to what we're doing?
Sure. We can dummy that up.
Sure. Let's do that. So if we do it by the draft way, everyone knows that the first. Did you guys hear today that Walker is surpassing Hutchinson? That everyone thinks that Walker's going to be the number 1 pick now.
I feel like that's been sort of building for a little while now. I feel like for the last week or two, that's kind of been building. Just sort of reading the tea leaves, at least with some of the Jaguars beat writers that I follow on Twitter. It seems like that's the way they're leaning. But like Jay mentioned, this is smokescreen season, right? I mean, the fact that I will always go back to this, the fact that Kyle Shanahan let us all believe that the Niners traded up to draft Mac Jones and they turned around and take Trey Lance. That's just sort of the reminder. So maybe the Jaguars really are looking at Walker. Maybe this is all a smokescreen to try and get somebody to trade up. Or make them a reasonable offer. Maybe they really are looking at Aiden Hutchinson. Who knows? We'll all find out together on Thursday, I guess.
Yes, we will. Yes, I guess I'll be watching. So, who thinks that the Detroit Lions need a quarterback?
Who's their current quarterback?
Jared Goff.
Then they need a quarterback.
They do. But because, despite, Gladys maybe throwing a few bucks their direction, nobody's really expecting them to be a Super Bowl contender. So the thing about Jared Goff is he's just good enough to keep you competitive. So they do need a quarterback, but I don't think they have to maybe shoehorn one of these guys in and try to make whoever they draft this year. If they draft a quarterback, they don't have to try to make that person the future of the franchise. They can sort of be okay with Goff for at least another year and then see, down the road what they have. But yeah, they need a quarterback. They just don't, they're not dying for one, I think, this year.
The Lions are in a situation where either they're going to make a move and then they're going to, become close to a playoff team, or they're going to kind of hover in and still pick number one overall. So Jared Goff, if that's the case, right, gives them a chance to win a few more games than they probably would like to, but not enough for them to actually compete.
That's the worst, isn't it?
It's the worst.
So they have like two picks. I mean, they have the second pick, which uh, I'm sure they're not going to pick. I'm sure Aiden Hutchinson's, you know,
Well, you
if
take
Walker,
whoever's left, right? You either take Hutchinson or you take Walker, whichever one is there. I don't think that they're coming Malik Willis that high, as much as they
I
No.
heard
talking
that
about it.
they were trying to convince themselves on Thibodeau.
Yeah,
That
yeah, Thibodeau's a possibility. I mean, I guess if they really want Willis, do you trade back?
You trade
I,
back, yeah.
I don't think you try and reach for him at 3 or 2 or 3 or whatever. But that seems ridiculous. But if you can trade back and maybe still get him a few picks later, I think that's the move.
Okay, and we're going to do a commercial because Richard Huffman wants to know, Marcus, do you have anything to follow, such as podcasts?
I do. I do a podcast. It's the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all the places that you find good podcasts. You can also find my podcast. So go check that out there. Also, I mean, look, I'll say I think I will be in Vegas. You can find me on Twitter at Marcus G, Marcas G. I spell it differently. And I will be in Vegas this week, doing stuff for the draft for the NFL. So I'll be like doing social media stuff. So you can find that there. Yeah. So that's sort of it. But the podcast is the big one. Also, if you just DVR NFL Fantasy Live, we pop up. I think we're doing a draft special in mid-May, May 13th. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, May 13th. We will have a post-draft special on NFL Network. So keep an eye out for that too.
Where when are you going to Vegas? Thursday morning or?
I leave Wednesday night. I'll be there Wednesday night through like Friday night. I'm not really sticking around for the last day of the draft because I mean fantasy wise, like no disrespect to those guys, but fantasy wise, aren't necessarily of a lot of interest. So I will be there for days 1 and 2, and then I'm heading home.
Are you going to walk the red carpet?
You know what? I've been told that I have access to the red carpet, so that means I actually have to pack some. Means I have to pack some real clothes. Like I can't just get away with like jeans and khakis and a t-shirt or something. Like I gotta actually dress semi nice because I think I'll be somewhere around there.
Nice. I look forward to seeing that because the NFL Network is where I'm going to watch the draft. For
Sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please watch it there because that helps me stay employed. So
We appreciate your work, man. We're a fan of of your work, man.
Thank you.
I was hoping to meet your son, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, he just got out of the. I can hear him. So my new office is in the garage, and I can hear him stomping on the floor. I think he's probably running through the kitchen trying to get a snack.
How old is
he just turned 3 about a month ago. So
happy birthday!
yeah,
All right, happy birthday.
All right, so the next one are the Houston Texans, who need everything, but I'm pretty sure they're going to stick with Mills for this year. Because why wouldn't you? I mean, so I see them going all defense or offensive line. So that's not helping fantasy wise.
Yeah, it's weird. Look, I mean, I know it's easy to sort of turn your nose up at Davis Mills. I think he was, at least statistically, probably the second best rookie quarterback last year, behind Mac Jones. You know, I mean, Trevor Lawrence. It wasn't totally his fault, but it wasn't totally not his fault last year. Trey Lance barely played. When he played, it was sort of up and down. Like I think of all the, Zach Wilson was not great. I mean, Davis Mills was probably the second best rookie quarterback last year.
The Good Old Boys Fantasy Football says Davis Mills is a tier better than his quarterback draft class.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he were in this year's draft, he probably would be the first quarterback taken. Yeah.
If you're thinking about the production that he had last season, taking that in as a rookie coming into this draft, I think he would be pretty high there.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Next we have the Jets, Jets, who have
Jets,
a
Jets,
plethora of
Jets.
picks in the first round, even. So the Jets need a wide receiver.
They need a
Um,
wide receiver. Um,
they need a wide receiver.
I feel like Drake London would be a good fit for them,
Yeah.
but as a USC guy, I want to see the USC guys go somewhere where they can maybe be successful and win. And I don't know that the Jets are that. But in terms of just fit and what the Jets need, I think Drake London's a good fit for them.
Jay?
Yeah, I was gonna say Drake London as well. Um, I like what they already have there. I think Elijah Moore is a future star, in my opinion. They can probably go the one of the Ohio State receivers, Garrett Wilson, there as well. But I definitely think that they are going to be taking a wide receiver, and they should.
I should
So
add. I should add. They probably won't take one at 4. They have 2
they have,
picks in the top 10.
yeah, they have
They
4 and 10 picks.
right. Like I don't see them taking a wide receiver at 4. They probably take another defensive player at 4, or maybe an offensive lineman. But I think they need to get one in this first round.
Yeah.
Um,
Which I mean, right at if so you figure at 10, right? You think that Drake London's probably most likely still going to be on the board right there. Garrett Wilson might go a little bit higher, but I can see London still sitting there when the Jets pick at 10.
Yeah,
2 things. One, the good old boys football, fantasy football, think they're taking Sauce Gardner at 4.
that makes sense. No, I can see that because Sauce is going to go pretty high too. So
When you got a name
And,
like Sauce, you better be able
you got to
to
be
back it
good,
up,
right?
and he got to be good, right?
You got to be good.
and then, so do either one of you think there's going to be a run on wide receivers? Like as soon as
I think
Atlanta,
that the class
let's
is
say
so
start.
deep. I think that receiver class is really deep, and so I don't think that that's gonna make way for these teams to just go on a receiver run because I feel like
Yeah,
they're going to be able to get a good value draft capital wise for all of these guys. They're all kind of for me they're all kind of like bunched up together at least like
right.
the first 5 or 6 guys.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, there's a difference between the tier 1 guys and the smaller guys that are going to be slot guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 5, 6, maybe even 7 wide receivers go in the first round, but I don't expect some crazy run on them. I get a feeling that for fantasy, uh, the first round is not going to be very exciting for a lot of
Right.
us. It's going to be a lot of defensive players. It's going to be some offensive linemen. You'll get, like I said, anywhere from 5 to 7 wide receivers. You'll get a handful of quarterbacks. I don't know that any of the quarterbacks are, primed to be big time producers, at least early on. So I think fantasy wise, we're going to be kind of left twiddling our thumbs for most of that first night.
The whole first night, still all the
Yeah.
32.
Yeah,
Really?
I mean, I think day 2 we're gonna get a lot because you'll start to see more running backs go in day 2. You'll see a
Yeah.
lot more wide receivers go in day 2. Um, there'll be a handful of offensive skill players who go in night 1, but I think that's gonna be a day that mostly belongs to the defense.
I
Yeah, I
always saw
agree with
Terry.
that. I agree with that. I think that day 2 for fantasy purposes, we're going to have a little bit more to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Then we're on day 2. Great. It's gonna be great for us, Jay. Just great for us.
Hey, I got a
Um,
wedding. I got a wedding that I got to wiggle out of on Friday and Saturday. It's a
Wait,
2-day
what?
wedding. One of my
Who
buddies,
is
he
a
has a
2 day
wedding.
wedding?
Yeah, so
Who's
he's
a 2 day?
Nigerian. He's Nigerian, so
Uh,
he's having the classic Nigerian wedding on Friday, and then the regular traditional wedding on Saturday. So I'm gonna try to wiggle out of that Friday one.
oh, that's gonna be interesting. Richard said, "Are you guys covering the DraftKings pool for the NFL draft? Be nice to get most of them right." Oh, there's a
I am
pool.
not.
I Yeah, I can't. I don't.
I will
Jay.
admit to not being a great mock drafter. Um, I know that's I get it. This is like it's a big thing. A lot of people do it. A lot of people are really good at it. I don't profess to be great at that. I sort of keep an eye on what a lot of people are saying. I'm mostly just curious about where certain players land because I just want to see what like it's fun to talk about wide receivers and running backs and quarterbacks or whatever. It doesn't really mean a whole lot in terms of projection until you know where they are and what kind of opportunities they're going to get.
Richard, for you, I would check out Underdog Fantasy. He was like 12. He got 12 right last year, so which is 6 more than Mel Kiper did. I'm just saying. So check out
That's we're setting the bar really high. Then
check out Underdog Fantasy, and he has I think he does the first 10, and he'll help you with the DraftKings poll. The Good Old Boys Fantasy Network. Which wide receivers stand out to you to play a true X in the first round?
In
First round.
In the first round, I think Garrett Wilson can be that. I think Drake London can be that. Yeah. I think those are the guys. I'm trying to think of the other wide receivers.
Treylon, you got Treylon Burks, his big ceiling. Probably one of the bigger hit or miss guys there. If he hits, he's going to be a star.
Yeah, I feel like he's a guy who has sort of seen his stock fall. Because at first everybody was like, "Yeah, man, this dude's big, and he's got great play speed." And everybody goes back to the game he had against Alabama because he went berserk against Alabama this past year. And I think his stock went up weirdly because we're all weird, right? Like when that story came out that he hunts boars with like a knife and a dog. Right. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, I got to draft this guy." And now there's talk that basically like the only reason, like the reason they kept using him in the slot, and they kept using him on these like simple, like, wide receiver screens was that he struggled with like route running and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, hunting a boar with a knife is cool, but like if you can't run a route, maybe it's not as great. So I feel like he's kind of seen his stock fall a little bit.
And I am like the president of the Stop Comparing Him to Deebo Samuel fan club. I get on my soapbox and I talk about that one as often as possible. Please stop doing that, everybody. You're setting that man up for failure.
I'm just a fan of hey, maybe we should just stop comparing players to other players, period. Like I get it. Like everybody's like, you want to have an idea of who he can be, but I don't know. They all seem strained. All the player comps seem strained a little bit.
Yeah.
What about the kid from Georgia? Pickens.
Pickens. Yeah, I think he's a playmaker. Here's the thing. I think this class is deeper than we've seen in a while, but I don't know that it's as top heavy as what we've seen in the past. Like there are no Jamar Chases, there are no Justin Jeffersons. Right. That's not a bad thing. I mean, like those guys are amazing. They were incredible in their first couple of years. Justin Jefferson 2 years in, Jamar Chase his rookie year. They were both great. So I think that's a really high bar to set. I don't think there's anybody like that in this class, but there are some really good players. I think there's a lot of really good players in this class. Right.
You got a lot of really good NFL players. We're going to be drafting wide receiver 2s. They're like Marcus is saying, there's no Jamar Chase. There's not this guy that's like a can't miss talent. There at wide receiver this year. I don't think that there's anyone like that in this draft, to be honest, in any of the skill positions outside of maybe Breece Hall.
But he's a running back, so Twitter hates him automatically.
All right, Carolina.
It's got to be the quarterback.
They need a quarterback.
I honestly think they're going to trade for a quarterback. They've got $30 million. They left $30 million in cap. They left $30 million under the cap. So I'm thinking.
Who are you gonna?
So they trade for Baker or Jimmy G. I mean, that's it. You only got two choices. It's either Baker or Jimmy G, unless you trade back and try to go after.
And if we're talking about those two quarterbacks, I'd take my chance on Malik.
Really?
Yeah, I'd rather take a swing at Malik. I'd rather take a swing at Malik Willis than Kenny Pickett.
Wait, I think you'd rather take Malik than Baker or Jimmy G? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Without
a doubt in my mind.
I mean, because you're a long way away from being competitive, right? Like you're still building something. Like Baker, we've seen this movie, man. Like we sort of know what Baker is at this point. I mean, he's fine. Like I'm not saying Baker is trash. He's fine, right? He's fine.
He's the Django. He's the Django Unchained of quarterbacks, right? You're gonna watch that movie once. I'm not.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't need to see that movie again. Exactly. So I mean, I think Baker's fine. Jimmy, again, he's he's good enough, right? Like, look, he got the Niners to a Super Bowl. He got them to the NFC Championship game last year. So, it's not that he can't play, but he's also 30. He's got a huge contract. He's coming off of shoulder surgery. Jimmy's the kind of guy that you bring in if you feel like, all right, we just need something to kind of keep us going. But like, if you're the Panthers, again, you're a long way from being competitive. Why not just take a swing with a young guy that you have under contract for up to 5 years, see what you can put around him in a short amount of time, and then see if you can be competitive from there. I mean, you got at least one more year of Tom Brady in Tampa, right? So that means at least this year, like, you don't have a shot. So why not just use this year to try to build something, and then whenever Tom leaves Tampa, then maybe you can put something together.
I think of Jimmy G as a quarterback you bring in when you have a really complete team and you don't need a quarterback to go and win games for you. He just needs to not lose them for you. So I actually think that he works in San Francisco for that reason. But as far as like going to a team like the Panthers, where your quarterback is going to have to go out there and win some games for you, I just don't think that Jimmy G is that guy. So I'd rather swing for the fence on Malik there.
Okay, if that's the rationale, why wouldn't you just wait till next year when the quarterback class is better? I mean, you have Sam Darnold. He's going to win a couple games for you. Not many, as you're ranked last in almost every quarterback, him and Cam. So why wouldn't you just wait till next year?
I mean, ¿por qué no los dos? Why not both, right? I mean, we saw the Cardinals do that. Where they took Josh Rosen at what, 9, 10, whatever it was. And then the very next year they take Kyler at number 1. I mean, if you're the Panthers and you take a guy and maybe you give him a shot, and if after a year you feel like, all right, it's not working out, then go get another one. Right?
I mean, the Panthers, they do have some weapons, right? I mean, the Panthers have some weapons. Christian McCaffrey, David Moore. They got some good players there for a player like Malik Willis to do well enough.
Okay, maybe I guess if you're Matt Rule, you have to win or you're going to get fired. That's the bottom line. I mean, there's no way they're going to hang on to him another year. He's already flubbed this up already. So you either stick with Sam Darnold, or I mean, I don't see the point of drafting Malik.
Man,
I live in Los Angeles. I never saw the Sam Darnold hype. I don't get it, but
Sam, well, in college, I mean, trust me, I watched a lot of Sam Darnold in college. He would make these amazing comebacks and like pull the Trojans out of the fire, but chances are he was the one who set the fire in the first place. So it was like, I was at that Rose Bowl game against Penn State, which was sort of the Saquon Barkley coming out party. And it was amazing because Sam brought them back in the fourth quarter, made some big plays and threw a couple of huge touchdown passes and got them into position for a game-winning field goal. But also he was miserable in the first half, and he was a large part of the reason the Trojans had to come from behind because he made some really awful throws and made some really questionable plays.
That was the Saquon and Michael Pittman show, man. That was
Saquon, Michael Pittman. Chris Godwin also had himself a day. It's funny because Saquon was great. Chris Godwin was great. Mike Gesicki was great. I think the quarterback was Christian Hackenberg. Was it Hackenberg? No. I don't remember who it was, but he was not great. But his teammates kind of kept bailing him out.
All right. The good old Fantasy Football Network our boys want to know: is there a regime change like we saw in Arizona when that happened?
If things go bad, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
if things go badly, there is.
I don't see things going well for Carolina, no matter who their quarterback is, quite honestly. Even if they use that $30 million there's no one. I don't see things going well for them.
Well, I think that you start off by looking at the division, right? You got the NFC South, so you got the Bucks there. I mean, the Carolina Panthers should be able to beat the Falcons. They should be able to beat the Saints. I'm not too fond of the Saints. The Saints have a good defense. But I think, I love Jameis Winston for fantasy, right? It's I mean, the guy's gonna chuck it. He's gonna get you, 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, but we can overlook 4 interceptions in fantasy. The New Orleans Saints can't overlook 4 interceptions.
Which
I
that's
think
a
they
whole other conversation. I feel like we shouldn't be able to overlook 4 interceptions in fantasy, but that's another conversation for another time. Like I don't have time to do that tonight.
You got some scoring issues there, Marcus.
I do. I mean, I do this rant every offseason about how we should change quarterback scoring, but like I said, yeah, I don't have the time tonight.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I don't see Giants are next. Let's just go the Giants, which they're probably going to go
Evan
defense.
Neal.
Line. What?
Evan
They do
Neal.
need a tight end.
And-
Yeah, Ingram's gone.
Well, no, I think they need offensive line. If you
Yeah.
want to have a chance to compete, right? That offensive line is just. I mean, you can't have. I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is your guy necessarily, but he's done okay.
He is
You
the
got to
guy,
protect.
right?
Yeah, you got to protect him. You got to give Saquon Barkley a fighting chance. Otherwise, they're just always going to be in this merry-go-round of picking 7, 8, 9, 10 overall.
Well, they have like pick 5 and pick 7, so they should be able to do something productive with both of those picks.
And I'm surprised, Marcus. I don't know what you said. I'm just surprised to see Neil just continue to drop in people's mock drafts.
Well, it's funny because in some he's dropping, but then there's also some chatter that he could be a surprise number 1. So I don't know what to make of that.
He'd be my number 1 draft pick.
I mean, yeah, I've seen some talk that he could,
Especially if I'm the Jaguars. The Jaguars picking number 1. You made the investment into Trevor Lawrence. You made the big investment, and my goodness, Christian Kirk. I don't know what the Jaguars are doing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Atlanta.
They need a wide receiver. I think this is where Garrett Wilson actually lands is in Atlanta because they need a wide receiver. I mean, Marcus Mariota is good enough to get them through a year, maybe 2. They got to do something because otherwise Kyle Pitts is going to get about 11 targets.
Million targets. Like the only one they're throwing to.
He's going to get all, like literally, like we always say, someone's going to get all of the targets, and it's like an exaggeration, but he really might get all of the targets unless they draft another wide receiver. So I think this is where Garrett Wilson lands.
Wait,
You don't think that it's you don't think they might go for a quarterback there?
I mean, I've heard some talk that they will, but again, like I feel like this is their quarterback is good enough, right? Mariota is good enough that they can run with him this year and then try it again next year, see who might be available. I think the priority, because it wasn't that long ago, this team had Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley. Now they have none of those guys. Like, it really wasn't that long ago. All 3 were in Atlanta. Now they're all gone.
Man.
all right. If Wilson goes there, is he a viable fantasy pick, you think? Or no with Mariota?
No, I think he is. I think, whoever is catching passes from Mariota is going to have to be good after the catch. I think Garrett Wilson can do that, but because you're not going to get a lot of deep shots from Marcus Mariota. So you got to be good after the catch.
When would you draft him?
Like round 6, 7, something like that.
In Dynasty? So
Dynasty. Oh no, Dynasty. No, he's a first round pick.
I don't talk because I'm not good at it.
I don't.
I'm a fan. I'm becoming a fan of Dynasty. I've been playing now for about 5 years. I took over a pretty awful orphan team, and now starting to be able to really start to put some pieces together there. So I would say like a super flex Dynasty. I think that Wilson's probably going to be around that. He's probably going to go around 4 or 5 overall.
So he's going about the same time you're picking him in redraft.
No, he's going much higher. He's going much higher in a Dynasty league.
Oh yeah, he's going to go way higher in a Dynasty than. I don't. the thing I don't understand about Dynasty is that it feels like Dynasty managers are preparing for a future that never comes.
Can be.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
You definitely
Seattle.
have those kind of guys in the league, right? They're always in constant rebuild mode. Every draft, this is it. I'm trading for all of these draft picks.
yeah.
That's
Where
how
the
I
teams
played.
that actually do well in Dynasty are the ones that eventually just plant their flag and just say, we're going to go ahead and win now. I'll give you all of my draft picks. You just become the Rams. You can have all of my draft
Yeah.
picks. Give me proven players. Let me go and win a championship, and then I leave the league.
I sort of play Dynasty like almost like redraft because you just never know if like the league's gonna fold the very next year. Like you don't know how long the league's gonna last. So, plus it's like every time a player has a good year, like immediately it's like sell high. I'm like, but
Yeah.
like like I saw multiple people say like sell high on Jonathan Taylor, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's your guy. That's your guy, Adam. Man, he's always talking about sell high.
but Jonathan Taylor, like he just had like one great year and he's still young. Like why like what are you gonna get? What are you gonna get that's better right now than Jonathan Taylor? Like it's just it's the old
That's
Family
what
Guy.
you're hoarding. That's what you're hoarding all of those draft picks for. Is for
It's
Jonathan Taylor.
It's the Family Guy bit about like, hey, but like it's a mystery box. Like it could be anything. It could be Jonathan Taylor. Like, but you. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm in 2 dynasty leagues. I might be in more, but I play it like redraft. I mean, of course I didn't do well in the going for 2-1, but these guys are like we're not even finished. They're like, let's trade. Like why am I trading? Like, why am I giving you Pat Freemuth and?
You do seem to see that a lot in Dynasty. I think that people kind of overtrade just because it's like, hey, this is what we do. We stockpile draft picks and we hope to hit.
So, Garrison, if you're listening, that's you. That's Garrison. Like every day I have a trade offer for you. I'm like, sure, we can do that. Seattle, which they got to pick Denver. Running with Drew Lock right now and DK Metcalf. And I heard this very interesting, and I think it was from the Underdog. Like he went to the beat writers and they were asking him who he thinks they're going to draft, and he was like, they cannot trade DK Metcalf because if they trade DK Metcalf, he will lose. Ooh, is that you or is that me? That's you. They will lose the locker because people will think they're in a rebuild and no one wants to be in a rebuild. So we're going to assume that DK Metcalf stays and Drew Lock is the one throwing him the ball right. Yay, fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're another team that probably needs to focus on the offensive line.
Yeah.
They're going to stick with Drew Lock?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know the Seahawks think they're, like they don't think they're rebuilding, but I think the rest of the world's like, yeah, you guys are rebuilding. Like you guys haven't figured it out yet, but the rest of us know.
I'm more interested in what Seattle would do because this is like fantasy, right? I'm more interested in what they would do in that second round pick, where you start getting guys coming in there, where it's going to matter for fantasy, where you start talking about these running backs, Kenneth Walker type running back, who I think will be really good for Seattle, pieces like that.
Okay, so no one thinks that Drew Lock is going to injure the fantasy value of Metcalf or Kenneth Walker.
I think Kenneth Walker wouldn't really matter much with Drew Lock because he doesn't catch the ball, right? But they're going to
stack. They can stack because they're.
I think what Metcalf. Oh man, that's a tough one. The DK Metcalf is a tough one because I don't really see a really polished receiver. So it's kind of like what Marcus was saying with Atlanta situation. Somebody got to catch the ball. He's got to catch the ball close to the line of scrimmage in these low screens and get large amounts of run after the catch. I'm not too sure that that's going to really hurt DK Metcalf's fantasy value too much.
Yeah, I also feel like that has always been kind of a concentrated passing game where there were 2 guys who got the ball. It was DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and I don't really see that changing. I agree. Like he's going to have to be good after the catch, but for different reasons. In Atlanta, you got to be good after the catch because Marcus Mariota just doesn't throw deep. Drew Lock throws deep. He's just not efficient about it, right? He's just not accurate. Like Russell Wilson was a great deep ball thrower, is a great deep ball thrower.
Best, probably, yeah.
Right. Like Drew Lock, he has no issue. He's not afraid to throw it deep. He just doesn't connect with guys. So that sort of forces him to be more underneath where he can be a little bit more effective.
Okay. I personally think it's gonna hurt Metcalf more than.
I mean, yeah, it'll be. He won't be as productive with Drew Lock as he was with Russell Wilson, but chalk this up to they got to throw it to somebody, and it's going to be DK.
And then the 10th pick, you guys think that the Jets are taking a wide receiver at 10?
Yeah, I think they take Sauce at 4, and they take a wide receiver at 10.
Which wide receiver?
Probably London. If Wilson's gone, it's probably London.
Yeah.
Which is my question. Why wouldn't London go to Atlanta instead of Wilson?
Because London is not London is more of a physical. He's kind of like a poor man's Mike Evans, right? He's a physical wide receiver. He's going to get the contested ball. What the Falcons need because of Mariota's limitations is they need someone who can real quick jab step and then turn around, catch the ball, and then run 20 yards down the field. That's Garrett Wilson. That's not Drake London's game.
They kind of need as close to a Calvin Ridley replacement as they can find, and Wilson is much closer to Ridley than London is.
Yeah.
All right, so you're London going to the Jets then at 10.
Yes.
You're saying?
Yep.
All right, where would you draft him?
Where do I draft Drake London? All right, I'm gonna probably have my cardinal and gold colored glasses on, but I would probably put him at the if he's with the Jets. When I said 6 or 7 for Garrett Wilson, probably about the same. I wanted to say 5 for Drake London, but I don't think that's realistic. Because if it comes down to it, and you're looking at quarterbacks, I think I trust Mariota more than I trust Zach Wilson. So probably about the same. Probably around 7 for Drake London.
Jay Dynasty, where would you take him?
Drake London's a top 5 pick in Dynasty, in my opinion, regardless of where he goes.
So you're taking him in the first round? Where are you taking?
Yeah, we're talking about if we're talking about a rookie, because that's how it works, right? You're just drafting the rookie. So if you're in a rookie draft, Drake London is coming off the board for me probably around that 5-6 mark.
Okay. All right. Washington, I refuse to call them the whatever. It's the Washington football team.
The FT. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not whatever the stupid.
I like the football team. It kind of grew on me.
I love the football team. The
but
Commanders.
That's not what they're called now anymore.
No, I think the Commanders are like a team from any given Sunday. They're like
with the uniforms to match, right?
Yeah, right.
Washington, who are they going wide receiver? Or are they going defense?
I don't think they take an offensive player, at least not in this first round.
Okay.
Like, I mean, they think they have their quarterback. We'll see. They like their running backs with Gibson and McKissick. They got Terry McLaurin. Like, I don't see them. Yeah, I don't see him reaching for another wide receiver right now. I can't imagine that.
I don't think they have McKissick anymore either. I think he went to Buffalo, didn't he?
No, he came back. He was gonna go to Buffalo, and then I think he thought about the. I think he basically was like, "Man, that means I got to pack and move, and moving sucks." So I think
moving sucks. No matter how rich you are,
doesn't matter. Moving sucks. It's a universal fact of life, and I think he realized that, and is like, you know what, I'm sticking around. So yeah, he was going to go to Buffalo. It looked like it was done, and then he made a pivot, and he's going back to Washington.
Did he do this pivot before or after they got Wentz?
It was after. It was after.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Carson Wentz was the reason he pivoted and came back to Washington. No,
I don't think Carson Wentz is the reason anyone pivots and comes back. The good old boys fantasy football think they're taking Kyle Hamilton if he is there.
Yeah, I can see that. Like I don't see them going offense in the first round. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if day 2, maybe they do that. I just don't see it happening the first day.
So the next 4
So
minutes.
I'm going to go
All
off
right.
the rail a little bit, and I am going to say that they are taking offense,
Ooh,
and
all
I
right.
am going to give the Washington Commanders or football team, whoever they are, I'm going to give them the speedster, Jameson Williams,
Jameson Williams.
because
Ooh.
when you look at Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz, for everything that he's not, what he does good is he gets the ball down the field, right? So Terry McLaurin on one side, you get the speed merchant on the other side with Jameson Williams. I think that will give that football team a good offensive punch where you maximize what you're going to get out of Carson Wentz.
Okay.
I'm just
All right,
curious when I'm curious to know when he's going to be back and available. Obviously tearing that ACL when he did in the championship game sort of puts that timeline. I don't expect him to be there week 1. I just don't know when he's going to be back on the field.
That's a big one to consider. The ACL is not it's not what it used to be, right? You know how like it used to be just this career-ending thing.
Right. My former coworker Akbar Bajabiamila started referring to ACL tears as the new sprained ankle, and I'm like, I wouldn't go that far.
It's a little extreme.
I don't think it's quite that, but it definitely is not. It's not the death sentence that it was once upon a time.
Akbar. Anyway, the next one's Minnesota, no. Houston, no. Baltimore, no. Philadelphia. Will they go wide receiver at 15?
They should, but they've been bad at that lately. I mean, I think Devontae Smith is good, but before that,
Jalen
Rager, like I was convinced.
J-Jaw.
I talked to people who had told me that Jalen Rager was going to be a thing, so I got on that bandwagon and it failed. I tried for 2 years in a row to make J-Jaw like a deep sleeper. I think it's because I just kept watching him mossing shorter USC D-backs for.
Right, see, we're watching that Pac-12.
I was like watching Pac-12, and he's like jumping over USC defensive backs. I'm like, this dude is good. So I'm like, I tried to make him a deep sleeper, and like that didn't work out. So I keep saying that the Eagles should go and sign Jarvis Landry. I know it's not sexy for fantasy. Like we're not going to all of a sudden be like on the Jarvis Landry bandwagon, but I think in terms of just actual football, I think he's a good fit. They've got a very young wide receiver room. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Devontae Smith actually is older than Jalen Rager. And he's still one of the young guys on the team. So I think they go ahead and add Jarvis Landry. You have a guy who can get open, kind of be a security blanket for Jalen Hurts, and give you that veteran presence that you sort of need. So maybe they do draft somebody, but I think Jarvis is a good fit for them. So
they have
for
15
me, with the Eagles, I'm going to say that the Eagles are calling the 49ers, and they're going to be the ones that overpay for Debo.
I don't think the Niners are going to trade Debo.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Like John Lynch has kind of said that. I mean, it's like everybody got all excited about like Debo Samuel's requests a trade. And I'm like, all right. I mean, my kid requests lots of things. I don't give it to him. Like, whatever. My kid wants snacks all the time. I'm like, it's nice to ask. Doesn't mean you get it. So like, it's nice for Debo to ask for a trade, but the Niners don't necessarily have to do it.
He makes the 49ers 49er, right? That's what I told my brother.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does.
Yeah, I don't. They're going to trade him. The Eagles have the 15th and the 18th pick, so they have leeway to
overpay if they wanted to.
Right.
New Orleans wide receiver.
Yeah, they got to do because like. I don't know what Michael Thomas is going to be like. I mean, maybe he's back to being Michael Thomas again, but even if he is, they need somebody to help him out.
And
that offense might be bad this year.
No, stop that. Jameson is on one of my dynasty leagues. I need him to be good, just because I refused to give him up last year.
Jameis Winston?
Huh?
Okay.
Jameis Winston, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like we've been saying this, Gladys, as terms of fantasy, Jameis Winston is fine.
Yeah, but he needs a receiver. Who is that going to be?
I'm going to give them the upside, and that's going to be where I think Traylon Burks is going to probably do well.
Hmm. Marcus.
Yeah, I could see that. Although I wonder, are he and Thomas too much the same guy? Are they too close to being the same player? And that's sort of what I wonder.
Who's the kid from North Dakota State?
Christian
Oh,
Watson.
Christian Watson. I think that might be a little early.
Christian
for him.
Watson is giving me straight up Marquez Valdez Scantling vibes. He's
It's
got
like
MVS vibes. And maybe it's because he played. Maybe because like his college uniform was green and gold or something. I don't know what it is, but he gives me
That's what it
MVS vibes.
I, you guys are making me sad today, and I came on happy, so whatever.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I only have a few more minutes, so I'm gonna have to leave soon, so I can stop making you sad if that makes you.
So
feel
I do like a receiver. You mentioned Christian Watson. I like Sky Moore a lot.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. I think that he's a very polished receiver. I think that he's going to be one of those guys that when we're going to be talking about him 3 years later, like how did he fall into, the third round there? I just think that that's going to be a really, really good receiver for a long time.
All right, we got halfway through. I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that because Pittsburgh, and I don't want you guys to tell me what you think Pittsburgh's going to do because they're going to trade up and get Malik. That's what we're going to.
That's what you're going to do.
Okay.
That's what we're going to bet on tonight.
Okay.
And tomorrow. So it is like the bell time. The bell time. Marcus, tell us where we can find you this week and how we can find you this week and where we can find you past this week because
Yeah. The best way is usually Twitter. It's at Marcus G, MarCasG. I will admit to not tweeting a ton about fantasy so far this offseason. I know everybody loves it. I know like we go year round with it. I sort of like seasons. I like having a break. I like having there's no off season. There's the season where they're playing games, and then there's a season where they're not playing games. There's no like off season. So I know I admittedly I have not been tweeting a ton about fantasy. It's kind of sprinkled in every once in a while, but you can follow me there at Marcus G. That was a long roundabout explanation. You can also follow me on TikTok. Like I'm on the TikTok now. Full disclosure, my wife was on TikTok and she would just sit there on the couch and like giggle at stuff and she would show it to me and it was just people dancing. I'm like, this is stupid. And now I'm like all about TikTok and I make videos on TikTok. So you can follow me there. I'm actually at Marcus Grant. It's my whole name on TikTok. But then, like I said, I'll be doing stuff for NFL social, NFL fantasy social, not the whole NFL handle, but to the NFL fantasy social handles. I'll be doing some stuff from Las Vegas this week. And like I said, be sure to check out the NFL Fantasy Football Show. We release shows every week on Wednesday. This week we're doing our draft spectacular in air quotes. Doing our draft spectacular. So yeah, like I said, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, come check it out. We have fun.
We'll do.
We will, and we appreciate you so much for coming on, so very much for taking time out of your very, very busy day.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I know Gladys, this is the second time we've done this, so
It is the second.
So I appreciate
it. Jay.
Yeah.
Hi. What are you doing this week? Where can we find you? I know Friday. Maybe Friday. Jan, I don't know. Just let me know. Friday about Friday.
Yeah, I'm very new on Twitter, so Twitter at jbank727. That's me. The socials, Facebook, things like that. I'm not a big shot like you guys on the social media yet.
Oh, God.
I'm not really like on TikTok. I don't really have that many followers. Like I'm still trying to figure it out. Like I don't really have any rhyme or reason to stuff. Like I did a couple of videos where admittedly it's like a stuffed Yoda arguing with like a T-Rex doll about Josh Allen. Like there's a couple of TikToks like that.
Oh man, I gotta see like that's right up our alley though.
Right, it is. It's like it's Yoda and T-Rex arguing about whether or not Josh Allen can be the QB1 for a third straight year. It's a whole thing. Like. Yeah.
Oh, my money's on
check
Yoda.
you out, man. You're awesome.
Thanks. So, but I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me on. It was fun.
No worries. Thank you again. And you guys, all this week, Well, not all this week. That's a lie. Starting Thursday, Going for Two will be on the draft live segments.
Watching
Jay and I are supposed
NFL,
to be on
watching you
Friday, but
guys.
apparently we might not be on Friday. Like half of us might be on Friday. Yes, we will be watching the NFL network because they're way more dependable than any other network whose name I'm not going to mention, but whose draft expert got 6 right last year. 6 right. How can you be called an expert if you only get 6 right?
I told you. He said this is just first movers advantage. That's all it is.
Whatever. I can't even think about his face because it makes me want to punch little babies. But so you guys watch the NFL Network. Watch Going for Two live. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. I appreciate both of you very much. Marcus, have a good time in Vegas.
Thanks.
Do you gamble? Are you a gambler?
I'm not really, but also like, if Roger Goodell is watching this podcast, I don't gamble, Roger. It's not a thing that I do.
You guys don't want to gamble? Okay.
Yeah, Roger. I don't even know what the word means, Roger. That's
Can't even what gamble? I don't know. Just on love, Roger. Just on love. Thanks, and you guys, everyone, Good Old Boys Network, Richard, my little sister. Thank you guys for joining us. Everyone who didn't chat, thank you for joining us. We will see you soon. Good luck in your fantasy. Good luck in your drafts. The fishbowl announcements are going out, but remember, he has like 1,500 announcements to go out. So
if you didn't get one today, don't freak out. Like yours could still, it's like Willy Wonka and the Golden Ticket. Like it's still possibly out there. Just everybody chill out.
It's still there. So quit freaking out on him. That drives me crazy. Do you have another one? It's the first day, you guys.
The first day. It's fine.
Bring it in. Reel it back in. All right. The Celtics won. I don't follow basketball that much, but I wanted to win. Pelicans won. I wanted the Pelicans to win.
Man, that's another conversation. The Brooklyn
Whole other
Nets
conversation.
Okay, sorry. All right. Okay, we're leaving now, you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Marcus, it was a pleasure, man.
Good to meet you.